All right, everybody, welcome back to Crossover Thursday. Locked on Giants, Locked on Eagles. The Giants wrap up what has been a disappointing 100th anniversary season against the Philadelphia Eagles at the Link, which has been a house of horrors for them. And of course, the Eagles, they're just playing out the string and getting ready for the postseason. And, from my perspective, Gino, it's almost like pointless to say, okay, what are the keys to winning the game? Because I think a lot of Giant fans are just like, just lose, baby.
Yeah.
That being said, you look at the Giants, one thing that kind of has struck me over the last several weeks about this Giants team is that it's almost like preseason. You know how with preseason you get all these different guys that come in and you're like, who's that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what number is that? So the Giants, they have some more injuries. They've had a shuffle across every single position group, it seems. And, at this point, I'm not sure, other than playing for pride, which I know is kind of, some people will say is loser talk, but it is important. At this point, it's like, okay, the bigger question for the Giants is going to be what will ownership, I should say, decide regarding Brian Dable and GM Joe Shea. Now, my feeling, and I've been saying this on my show, people don't want to hear it, but I'm not changing my opinion based on what I'm sensing. I think Shane stays. I am not sure that Dable stays, but I do think last week's win helped them a little bit. I think if he can get this mash unit that he has to perform decently against the Eagles, I think maybe he's going to help himself even further with returning. Now, Gino, one other thing, Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network just reported that Nick Sirianni said that they're going to rest all the starters. So no Saquon or no of the starters. So we have our answer there. From your perspective now, what do the Eagles need to do to accomplish besides maybe coming out of this game unscathed?
Yeah, unscathed is the way to approach this. And Nick Sirianni, smart guy. Never was not a fan of him. Always loved Nick Sirianni. Just kidding. That actually is a smart decision by him. But I think the key, and I want to say this because what you just said was very reminiscent of how I think the Cowboys were looking at last week's game with Mike McCarthy, where he started to rip off some wins, and they're like, oh, okay, maybe he does keep his job a little bit. And then last week, they rolled over and died. I mean, let's just call it what it is. 41-7 on the road against a chance to completely derail the Eagles season, and they didn't even give him a showing. I believe the Giants will do a better job than Dallas did last week, in my opinion. And I think they'll give the Eagles a legitimate fight. And not to say that the Eagles won't try their hardest, but I don't think that they're going to put themselves in any precarious positions, put out too much tape that is going to identify too many clues to them moving forward. Very preseason-esque, as you had said, Patricia. And ultimately, the key to the game is just don't get hurt. Don't get hurt, either team. And I will say this, I know it's tough from a Giants perspective, right? When a season isn't going the way that you had thought it was going to. But from my scouting mind, taking off the Eagles cap here, guys are not going to quit in this last game because for every Dexter Lawrence, for every Brian Burns, there's a guy who it might be his last snap in the NFL, and he's going to want to put out good tape. This isn't a roll over and die game for the Giants by any measure. I think it's a chance to keep Brian Dable's job, like you had said, Patricia. If the guys do respond to him with a unit that is banged up, hey, that's what you want to see out of your head coach. But these guys might be playing for future jobs. As badly as the fans want to lose, the guys in the building hate losing. That is their profession. They only get to do this thing 17 times in a season. They don't want to lose this game.
No, they don't. And, I get the fans' perspective. They want, the number one draft pick. I totally get it. Yeah. But good luck. I mean, if that were the case, if they were going to tank, then you sit Malik Neighbors and you sit Brian Burns. You sit some of these guys. I mean, it just never, ever made sense to suggest that they were tanking. But yet that was the narrative that a lot of fans believe what what was going on. Gino, final thoughts on this game this weekend. I mean, again, it doesn't have the pizzazz as if the two teams were fighting for the NFC East title. So it's kind of a meh type of game, but what can you think both sides get excited about?
Ooh, what can we get excited about? Well, I will say this. I will continually fall in line with the opinion that the NFC East is the best reality television that is just not scripted. You cannot script it. There's always great storylines. I think there's going to be a scrap at some point in this game. I think there's going to be some rough and tumbleness. I think Drew Lock is going to throw as many touchdown passes as he does interceptions. I think that he's, like you said, he'll put some opportunities and balls out there. I think the Eagles will probably go with Tanner McKee, give him a full game, get Kenny Pickett healthy. So I think it'll be a low-scoring game, but at the same time, like, do these young players just go out there and have a ball and they're just chucking the rock all over the field? We will see.